violence came from members of organized gangs whose territorial wars were a major problem in the Bronx.
1975, 76, 77, this park right here was most famous for gang activity. This is the park where if you got into a situation with the gangs, they probably bring you here to set you off right here because it's real big, it's like Central Park. So if they was gonna murder you or beat you up or anything or take your stuff, they would bring you in here because it take a long time for the cops to find you in St. Mary's Park. You know what I'm saying? So most of the gangs, like the Bachelors, the Backspades, the Savage Nomads, they used to have their little gang fights right here in this park right here.
But one man would see the light. Africa Bambaataa was a committed gang member until a close friend was shot dead by the NYPD. Inspired by Kool Herc, Bambaataa turned to DJing at block parties in an effort to end gang warfare.
Yes, I was part of a great street gang and many other street gangs that I have been involved with. My greatest one was the Black Spades, Savage Spades.
There was a lot of pain, a lot of distress going on in the Bronx, you know, with the gang thing that was going on. He took like a huge mass of people that were so angry, and he turned that nervous energy into this coalition that's now worldwide.
You still got the Savage Nomads, the Seven Immortals, and all them people out here. Same thing, you know. The only thing is that they do all that crazy shit, man, dancing and all that, man. You know, like they be showing on TV, right? Instead of fighting, they go out there and dance each other to death, right? Which is better than going out there with a 30-30 and shoot somebody in the head, right?
The gang culture started fading away to the hip-hop culture. Then you started getting crews and organization. Thus came, you know, the birth. We had the Bronx River Organization that became the organization. From the organization became the Zulu Nation. From the Zulu Nation became the Almighty Zulu Nation. And from the Almighty Zulu Nation became the Universal Zulu Nation.
Bambaataa had the wherewithal to say, you know, music to kind of like, you know, calm the savage beast and kind of like make people just say, forget the drama and the beef. Let's kind of like, you know, have a time at this because we're kind of all here together.
In the house. Is everybody in the house?
As the nascent hip-hop scene absorbed the street gang's energy, it began to flourish and the word spread across town. Subway trains tagged up in the Bronx's vast train yards took graffiti, hip-hop's visual message, right into the heart of Manhattan. The New York art world was quick to see the potential in graffiti, and it was soon feted as the freshest thing since Warhol. Graffiti artists like Fab Five Freddy became hip-hop's ambassadors for those curious to find out more, such as Blondie.
Where I kind of turned them on to hip-hop, took them to the Bronx, showed them hip-hop in the raw, in the flesh, and they kind of took me with them to parties, introduced me to Warhol, and I met kind of like that, you know, the cream of the downtown art scene.
Of all the downtown bands, Blondie had had the most success. These so-called punks had even hit #1 with a disco song, Heart of Glass. And having assimilated one New York musical form, Blondie were keen to sample another.
Fab Five Freddy used to always come to my parties up in the Bronx, and he had always said to us, man, I'm gonna bring Blondie up here. We all personally thought he was full of shit, you know, because at that time she had called me, she had all these huge songs. I'm like, yeah, right, you know.
Well, in '77, Freddie brought us up to the South Bronx to this big hip-hop event, and it had already been in full swing, and it really parallels the downtown rock scene. And I just called it a destructivist, reconstructionist form, where they're pulling things apart and putting it back together again, taking the records and doing the scratching and all that stuff. Similar to us pulling apart the old forms of rock and roll and putting them back together again.
the majority of my audience was, you know, blacks, Spanish, and Latinos. And there was this one blonde head coming through the crowd, you know. And Freddie was in front of her. And she came. And she says, you know something? I sat there and I watched you, and it was so amazing watching you play on the turntables. She says, I'm gonna write a song about you. And of course, I gave her a smile, like, yeah, right. Mm.
And I guess their way of helping was they made this record called Rapture, which mentioned me on the record. They said Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. There's a DJ named Flash, and he's the fastest. And
Fab Five Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ spinning, I said, my, Flash is fast, Flash is cool. Francois, c'est pas, Flash ain't no dude, and you don't stop, sure shot.
You know, and Debbie just took all that stuff and just kind of spit it out in the rap that she did for Rapture, which was probably the first time most people heard this idea of rapping. Like, what is this? And it was a huge record.
And you eat your head, and then you're in the man from Mars. You go out at night, eating cars, you eat Cadillacs, Lincolns too, Mercuries and Subaru, and you don't stop, you keep...
Yeah, but Rapture was really an homage. It wasn't intended as an actual rap song, but still, the guys from Wu-Tang told me it was the first rap song he ever heard, so that's like kind of a mind fuck, you know.
Rapture's blend of New York influences went far beyond the 5 boroughs, reaching the American #1 spot in '81. The song took hip-hop out of New York and into the wider world, where it would become today's biggest-selling genre. The song stood at the pinnacle of a golden era of street music in which New York's urban neighborhoods gave birth to hip-hop, disco, and punk.
There was some element of the hardcore, of survivors in a frontier town. The fact that you could walk 2 blocks in either direction and be in an entirely different musical world. It was a great place to be creative and to realize that you were beyond a sense of rule.
Just think about this. We're talking about people going into a park, a city schoolyard or a park, with huge speakers and, you know, dancers blasting music. That would never happen now. It's a quality of life crime.
Manhattan has really fucked itself. It's shot itself in the foot by making it impossible for young people to move here. It's really, really hard to move into New York these days. So that's really created quite a big difference.
Cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head.
These days, New York is safe, clean and rich. But the golden era of street music, of making something out of nothing, seems to have gone forever.
Crazy lady living in a bag, eating out of garbage pails. Used to be a fag hag, such a dance to tango. Skip the life and dango. A zircon princess seemed to lost her senses. Down at the peep show, watching all the creeps, so she could tell her stories to the girls back home. She went to the city and got so did it. She had to get a pimp, she couldn't make it on her own. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying